Television's representation of teenagers has become the default view through an adult lens. As a result, adults view teenagers' relationship with sex, substance abuse, and their parents with the mediatized framework provided to them. Shows that drive this point of view include Sex Education, Euphoria, and Riverdale. The availability of shows like this to the masses allow for critique and comparisons to teenagers in the real world. This can have a negative impact on teenagers' relationship with their parents and other surrounding adults. It can also impact teenagers' relationships with each other and the aforementioned areas. Therefore, media representing teenagers needs to be critiqued in context to works of fiction being produced by television producers, writers, and directors. This video outlines the effects and stereotypes presented in media and dives into the harms and potential harms caused by it.
Sex Education is a TV show set in a British high school about teenagers with no to little knowledge about sex, in which the main characters take advantage of using their own knowledge of sex for money.
The students at this school need your help and we need their money. I'll deal with the business end of things and you can do the therapy.
The series has a variety of teenage representation, for example, toxic masculinity, sex addicts, and the nerdy character. It portrays its characters through multiple storylines taking on different challenges that the teenager faces. The series heavily represents its teenage characters to be obsessive over sex, tackling topics including consent, LGBTQ+ experiences, and sexual diversity. Eric Ofcom and Adam Groff represents homosexuality, meaning they are sexually attracted to each other. I believe their relationship is accurately portrayed as Groff hadn't discovered he had sexual affection for men until he had sexual intercourse with Ofcom.
I don't want to have sex with you. I want you to have sex with me.
They have a complicated relationship which could reflect off reality, as teenage couples tend to not last long. We've watched Ifyong progressively come to terms with the fact that he's bad fun, matching the real-world teen experience, giving the narrative that teenagers in reality choose to be with people who aren't a good match. Ifyong chose to be with his bully, Gruff, who had at first constantly treated him unpleasantly. The director may have chosen to portray it this way to describe how teenagers are drawn in by the idea of sexual intercourse, that it blinds them from the idea of valuing themselves.
He's going all the way tonight. Come on. Yeah.
I'm guessing it's you.
This is the part where you're supposed to look happy for me?
I am happy, Eric. But are you sure Adam isn't going to mess you around? I think he's still not comfortable with himself. And I don't want you to get hurt.
Enough! I want you to be my best friend and ask questions about me going all the way.
Or someone who would treat them properly. Dealing with LGBT staff serving or wishing to serve in the armed forces, known as DADT, Don't Ask, Don't Tell. This policy allowed lesbians, gay men, and bisexual people to serve in the U.S. military, providing they were not open or explicit about their sexual identity. An example of this was when Adam was put into the military school and had witnessed two men making out. The results of this may have caused him to express his sexuality coming out and asking Eric to be his partner. Reflecting back in real events, it is correct to see people come out with their sexualities, but in the way it was presented can be seen as over-exaggerated, as Adam grabs the attention of everybody at the school to express his feelings.
Representations of teenagers' relationship with drugs and alcohol. The teenagers' years are a critical period in the individual's life, marked by numerous physical, emotional, and social changes. During this developmental phase, teenagers often face various challenges, including the temptations to experiment with drugs and alcohol. The representations of teenagers' relationships with drugs and alcohol is a multifaceted issue that demands a comprehensive understanding. This narrative aims to delve into the complexities surrounding teenagers' relationships with drugs and alcohol substance, examine the factors that influence their choices and potential consequences that arise from these behaviors. Peer pressure and social influence. One significant factor that contributes to teenagers' involvement with drugs and alcohol is peer pressure. Adolescents often face immense pressure to fit and be accepted by their peers, to conform to societal norms or gain social validations. Some teenagers may experiment with substance. The desire to be part of a group, coupled with the fear of rejection, can result in risky behaviors including substance abuse. It is crucial to acknowledge the power of peer influence when examining teenagers' relationship with drugs and alcohol. Teenagers' relationships with drugs and alcohol are complex and influenced by numerous factors, including peer pressure, emotional and psychological vulnerability, media representations, and the lack of reasonable education and support systems. By understanding these complexities, we can work towards developing comprehensive strategies that empower teenagers to make informed choices and provide them with necessary support to navigate these challenges, encouraging opening dialogue, promoting mental health awareness, and fostering a sense of belonging and acceptance can go a long way in ensuring teenagers' well-being and reducing the prevalence of substance abuse in this vulnerable population.
Another misrepresentation of teenagers in the media can be seen in Riverdale. Riverdale follows Archie Andrews and his friends after murder is committed in the former quiet town. The series follows their journey in discovering the killer. Riverdale, however, falls victim to the misrepresentation of teenagers' relationship with their parents, which leads to stereotyping. Stereotyping refers to the oversimplification of ideas or persons, which are often a result of incomplete information. Cheryl Blossom's relationship with her parents is an example of this. Cheryl is represented as a spoiled, rich teenage mean girl and is often at odds with her parents. There is a mutual dislike in the family dynamic, and no effort is made to conceal it. While this may be harmless, because it is taking place in a fictional world, this bleeds into the real world where adults see teenagers as spoiled and a nuisance to society. It is common for us teens to hear we are lazy, disrespectful, loud, and unable to go without being glued to a screen from our parents and older adults like teachers and other family members. There is a certain pain associated with hearing it and being left out of discussions around it. The mediatization of such discriminations maintain them within society, offering our parents a way of relating to the difficult teenager seen on screen, and even causing them to be cautioned around things we haven't done and will never do because they see a resemblance of us on television. In the case of Riverdale, they see us as spoiled and ready to outburst at any given time. This affects the collective teen culture to be able to voice their opinions because they're afraid they'd be providing their parents and media with correct misinterpretation, thus affecting the meso level by supplying structural inequalities which is only beneficial to adults. As a result of this, teenagers often recede into their own bubble of comfort and find community within each other, creating a whole set of new problems such as depression, anxiety, and leading to problems like underage sex and substance abuse. Media's influence on how we are perceived allows fictional stereotypes to bleed into reality, providing a catalyst for social divide. According to HuffPost 2020, older Americans fall victim to misinformation spread across social media. Given that series like Riverdale are often reviewed and critiqued on social media like Facebook and YouTube, it makes it easy for older generations to have mutated understandings of teenage behavior.